as UVA hosts North Carolina. Ranked UVA against unranked UNC as the Tar Heels have struggled this season, 11-5, 3-2 in the ACC against the UVA Cavaliers, 11-3 on the season, 3-2 in the ACC, coming off a game where Tony Bennett became the winningest coach in Virginia men's basketball history. Joining me right now on the Hadid Mercer Rug Cleaning Hotline to go around the ACC is my guy Marcus Washington, Mook, making the cut with Mook. What's going on, buddy?
Hey, man, I'm doing great. I'm looking forward to tonight's big matchup. It's great. There's only 2 ACC matchups tonight. The other game is not as high level as this one, so all eyes should be on Charlottesville tonight.
Absolutely, but I do want to start with that Notre Dame game just because I do have a big appreciation for Coach Bray, being that he's friends with the Junkies and his work in the D.C., Maryland, Virginia area. And he told me at ACC tip-off this was supposed to be his best three-point shooting squad, and yet they're 8-8 on the season and 0-5 in ACC play. What have you noticed from the Irish?
There's just not enough depth on that team. I do think he has a good team, which is why, if you notice Notre Dame, they've played a lot of competitive games, or they're competitive in spurts, and it just seems like in the second half they continue to run out of gas because there's not any place where he can go. Bray at times this year have played essentially 6.5 guys, sometimes 7. You'll see sometimes he'll stretch it out to 8. But it's really, really tough to win in this league and be as thin as Notre Dame is, which is why you're seeing more zone. We saw it against North Carolina the other night where he had to take chunks of the game and play 2-3. And we're so used to seeing him with more depth. If you remember his Big East days going into the ACC, Notre Dame played an exciting brand of basketball. I mean, very up and down, getting the threes in transition, getting the threes in secondary transition. They had some epic games with Georgetown where it'd be 105 to 103. I mean, great games. I think that Bray would really, really love to be able to continue to play that way. But with this iteration of his Notre Dame team, he has a lot of talent. And, yes, they can shoot the three. It's just not enough players.
Going around the ACC with my guy Marcus Mook Washington. Follow him on social media, MTC with Mook. The biggest surprise in the ACC this season is the Clemson Tigers, 5-0, and had a clutch victory against the biggest other surprise, which was Pittsburgh, who's now 4-1 in conference play with a 75-74 victory over the weekend, thanks to Chase Hunter scoring 17 points. Are you that surprised by the Clemson Tigers, or did you see this coming at all?
No, I didn't see it coming, and I don't want to lie to you and act like I did. Chase Hunter has been better than I thought, and even Hunter Tyson, who I would say can score from all 3 levels, but he's not a 3-level scorer. He has had some epic nights for Clemson, but you referenced the Pitt game. I think the thing that surprised me the most was Clemson's ability to dominate Pitt in the paint. They outscored them 34-14 on the road, being down on the road, going down the stretch, and they were able to go old school and actually throw it in the paint, and they were incredibly successful in there, and that was really the difference between that game and how Pitt lost the lead late on their home floor. But Clemson has been good all year. They sit at 13-3. Hunter Tyson, like I referenced earlier, he's already broken one of the Grant twins, one of his records, by having a 31-16 game. He is he's a load to try to handle. And like you said, Chase Hunter, the great thing about Chase Hunter is, and you saw it in the Pitt game, he could be one of those guys who's a guard, who's a volume scorer. But what he does for Clemson is he gets the ball to the right places, to the right people, especially early on, get them engaged. And then when he's asked to be that guy to score, then he comes out and he's that guy and he scores efficiently. And right now it's why Clemson is 5-0. Now, if you ask me, can Clemson keep this up as we're seeing the ACC is really turning into a mosh pit? I'm not sure. But for where Clemson is playing right now, they're pushing all the right buttons.
Yeah, that's what I'm interested in. Can they keep this up? The ACC always ends up beating each other up, and so eventually I feel like Clemson will lose 3 games in a row or something like that and end up being like the 4th or the 5th seeded team in the ACC. We'll see what happens there. Let's get to the matchup tonight, 9 p.m. on ESPN. North Carolina, the Tar Heels, the runners-up last season, head to John Paul Jones Arena for a matchup against 13th-ranked UVA. How would you predict this matchup, Mook?
Well, if I'm UVA, it's don't turn the ball over. We've seen games this year where the Cavaliers are turning the ball over in ways that we're not used to seeing them turn the ball over. A lot of times it's poor decision making. And part of that is there are at times that they do play faster. I think I've talked to you this before. I think UVA is at best when they transition from defense to offense in that quick way. And that is going to lend yourself to a little bit more turnovers. Plus, they probably have an advantage tonight that maybe fans don't see, and that is inside. If there's a place where you can exploit North Carolina, it is putting Armando Bacot in screen and roll. He is one of the worst screen and roll defenders in the ACC, if not in the country. We saw Pitt have incredible success putting them in screen and ball action. UVA can do that early on and get Shedrick involved. It makes him the X factor in this game. He doesn't have to score 20 points and grab 13 rebounds, but if he can get involved early, make Bacot work on that defensive end, that is going to be a huge advantage to Virginia, especially if he can pick up a couple of early fouls. For North Carolina, it's when they won, who are the best two players on the floor? Bacot and R.J. Davis. It is not Caleb Love. One of the things that they had that probably prepares them for this game, going back to the Notre Dame game, Notre Dame did double the post some when they were in man. Bacot showed an ability to be able to pass out of it. Now, we're not going to confuse Notre Dame's defense with UVA's defense. We all know that UVA is going to double the post whenever he touches it. Bacot's decision-making is going to have to be good. And then for North Carolina, they're going to have to make shots. If I'm UVA, that kick-out is not going to R.J. Davis. Heck, that kick-out is not going to Caleb Love. That kick-out is going to Seth Trimble. It's going to Leaky Black. It's going to those guys. And then I'm going to make those guys make plays to see if North Carolina can get enough out of the others to be able to compete for 40 minutes.
That was a great breakdown right there because I totally agree with you. The game plan for UVA has to be make Bacot defend, make him defend the perimeter, try to keep him out of the paint where he can affect the game. The UNC star and Richmond native, like you said, though, has really become a better passer this season. And so that's going to be interesting to see the way UVA defends that. Are they able to double team him? Is he able to take advantage of that out of the double team? He's become a really good passer in the paint. I think that's going to be the test tonight against UVA.
Yeah, and again, he's gotten better at it. There's no doubt. I think his motor's a little bit better. But again, UVA, because they suck all the energy out of you, let's be for real, that defense can weigh down on you. North Carolina has had problems with depth, especially since Nance is going out on the sidelines. They play small at times. You know, against Notre Dame, they started the three guards. I thought Notre Dame started it off well because they run a lot of continuity offense, and they did make Bacot defend on the perimeter a lot of chasing and stuff like that. But like I said, with Notre Dame, they don't have the depth. With UVA, they have the guys that can make it difficult on Bacot, make him expend a lot of energy, and then make Hubert Davis make a decision. Do you go small and have that three-guard offense of Love and Davis and Trimble? Do you try to go big? Throw Washington in there for a few minutes. Can you still 8 to 10 minutes with them and have Puff Johnson play small ball 4 and those type of things? Hubert Davis is going to be challenged as a coach tonight because there are places where UVA can really get North Carolina in a bad position, and it's going to be up to Davis to find a way to mitigate it.
Mook, UVA wins this game if blank is the leading scorer. You know, earlier this season in a couple of their tough games, it was Reese Beekman. More recently, it's been Armand Franklin. Kihei Clark has led them in scoring a few games. If UVA is going to be successful tonight, who leads them in scoring and why?
Reese Beekman, because I think he is the biggest matchup problem for North Carolina. What I love what Tony Bennett did with him in Syracuse was that he made Beekman a decision maker. He had him cut through, get to that little ACC logo where he could pass, shoot, do all kinds of things. I think against North Carolina, if Beekman is on the swing, on the weak side of the swing, and the ball swings to him in space, he can give North Carolina a ton of problems because North Carolina does not rotate in the speed and at the angles they should. He can get guys in foul trouble. He can get himself to the line. He can get almost any shot he wants. If UVA stays patient, gets to the second or third action in their offense, and have Beekman get it in that space, he could have 15, 17 tonight. Could be one of those games for him.
Great stuff, man. That's my guy, Marcus Mook Washington. Follow him on social media, MTC with Mook, and read his work online, mtcwithmook.com. Thanks so much, man.
Hey, thank you, man.
Yep.